Pop up on all three of these platforms. All right, bad. We live now. Go down to the banner. Show that across the bottom. There we go.
I'm trying to add you as a brand partner, but this shit will not work. Maybe I can add you after we're live.
Yeah, so I gotta give you a John. Let's see.
Yo, now is an amazing time to use the restroom if you need to.
I do actually gotta go to
I'm
the
gonna
bathroom.
be right back. Yeah, join. I would join on the on Instagram first. Also, dude, Instagram totally lied to me, bro.
Bro,
Because I
what you
said that
mean, bro?
hold up, dude. It said that I was going live in practice mode, and then someone joined.
I mean,
I'm
that's fine,
pissed.
bro. They be doing that though.
Nah, fuck them for that. I'm pissed.
That boy savage.
I'm so mad.
Ah. Let me see. All right, Corey wants you to be. Rav wants
I'm
you to
gonna have to
be.
re-invite you because I just started it and stopped it again.
No doubt. I think I need to give you a placeholder. Nah, I think we could probably just use the cover. Yeah, we need to. I need to give you the cover for the reel.
Oh, for the real?
Yeah, just the cover itself, so that way when you upload it, you
Oh
can
yeah,
you
that's
can
the
choose the cover for you know what I mean.
facts, facts.
Let me see if I can find it.
Dude, Instagram is lying to me, dude.
Bro, hold on, bro. What you mean?
It keeps saying that I'm going on private and I ain't. Because I set the audience to private and then it says, hey, we're telling all your followers that we're telling
Welcome,
all your
welcome,
followers to go online.
whomever that is tuned in.
All right,
Welcome, welcome. Okay, it's just us two right now. But
all right, I'll be back, brother.
yeah, okay. Quick little restroom moment. Shall return.
We're going live with that content mastery talk, man. Don't you miss it. We're going on right now, right now. Jump in. Man, we're going live with that content mastery talk. We're going to be on IG. We're going to be on LinkedIn. We're going to be on YouTube, the Media Mogul on YouTube. Man, don't miss it. Tap in. go. Here we go. All right. Yo, so welcome, folks, to the Content Mastery Live with myself and my good friend and branding expert, Corey. Corey's about to hop in here in a second. There we go. All right, so I'm live on stream. We live on YouTube. We live on LinkedIn. We live on Facebook. Yo, we all over the map. All right, so we just gonna wait for my man Corey to tap in. And matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and hit him with that invite on here. But yeah, so we about to dive in. Corey and I have had some extensive conversations about like the intersection between branding and content. Because obviously, you know, you own a business. You're not trying to do a million. You're not trying to do double work. Why would you be trying to do double work? And there are a lot of things. There's Corey. Get on in here, buddy. Get on in here, pal. Yeah, you should have an invite to join right now. I'm about to slide it through to you again. You should be able to pop up in here. Yeah, I'm sliding you a couple. Let me know if anything, if you're not able to get in, and we'll work it out. But yeah, I was just telling him, Corey, how you and I have had some extensive conversations about, there he go. Matter of fact, I'll let you tell him yourself. Let's see. It says you unable to join. Dang, yo. We might have to see what's up. There he is. There he is. What's up, legend? Yeah, I probably unmute on StreamYard too. Yeah. And then once we ready, we'll dive right into it. Oh, that's so lit. Awesome. But yeah, bro, I was just telling you how you and I have had a lot of conversations about like the intersection between, what's up, Emily? Between branding and content, because naturally the two kind of go hand in hand, probably a lot more so than smaller businesses would consider. And so, you know, if we're trying to learn from brands that are on the other side of where we want to grow into, then naturally we got to take notes. You know what I'm saying? So you and I got a couple notes, a couple gems that we want to share with the folks. And I figured, I'll let you open up and kind of share a bit on that.
Little something, man. You know how y'all doing on Corey? You know, I represent Champion Circle Enterprise, based out of Orlando, Florida. And yeah, like you said, we've been chopping it up for some time. I'm a brand specialist, focuses mostly on brand positioning, brand voice, messaging. So man, and it just this energy is there for you to be able to project your brand. You got to be nice with the video content. Just linked up like that.
Yeah.
We actually met each other at a different event that was live a couple months back, and you know, like they say, you never know who you know and how that relationship develops.
Yeah, that's a fact. And also, I just want to answer Emily's question real quick. Yeah, this live is going to be saved, and it's also streaming right now on YouTube and Corey's Facebook and Corey's Instagram. So we're probably going to pull from that and also share some of the live for everybody that missed it. But yeah, so you touched on something that I was going to speak on, but I didn't even need to, which is kind of just a testament to the point. So you mentioned that, like, you know, you mentioned video content in particular, and I would actually just love to get your thoughts on, like, what do you think differentiates video content from other forms of content? We'll say audio content, text content. Why do you think that video content is, number one, more powerful in the toolkit of a brand, but also like, why do you think that it's more that the platforms are looking to make more use of video content? Like, why are they pushing video forward, do you think?
I mean, personally, and as a branding professional, I'm gonna say that video content is the most engaging. It's the most personal connection that you can develop with your audience. Now, look at a commercial, for example, on television. You usually see they're creating a scene, right? So you have, like, if they're trying to attract family, they'll usually have a kid involved, and they're playing with their parents, or selling a toy or something like that to really invite you all into that experience. of playing with this toy, right? So you can visually see yourself changing when you're interacting with the products. As opposed to audio, that's just kind of like one form. I don't even have to be watching, so to speak. I can just be on a road listening to your voice, and if there's other sounds, if I'm not wearing headphones, I can get easily lost and just become background noise. But
Yeah.
when you're watching a video, then I'm locked in, I'm engaged. Think of another example is like when you watch a movie. Would you watch Transformers if it was only audio?
Yeah. Facts.
We're gonna watch an audio movie. Nobody, because there's no visual, there's no
Facts.
action behind the sound. There's the effects of giving life through the visuals of the screen and everything like
You
that.
ain't tell no lie.
That's what I'm saying, bro, for sure.
Yeah, one of the things, so it's interesting that you bring that up, because, and I want to give him his fair credits. I connected with this dude on Instagram recently and haven't had some crazy, all right, so his name is Ulysses. And if you're seeing this dude, this really stuck with me. One of the things that he said, I know he works on a lot of corporate or brand like business productions in video content, him and his agency. And one of the things that he said that I just thought was such an eloquent expression of this truth was like, when it comes to video content, it's particularly effective because it's two senses. And so like what he said was, look, when you're creating video content, right, ideally you close your eyes, and when you listen to the sound bed, when you listen to the music and the voiceover and the sound effects, it tells a story. It has its own motion. It has its own personality. And then when you bring the video content, if you watch it silently, ideally it will say the same. It'll have its own voice, its own story that it's able to portray. And then you bring them together in a way that intersects really nicely. And that's when you've got magic. And Diana says, true, it also attracts another sense of the audience, not just sound, but sight. Exactly. That's exactly
Absolutely. That's what gives that.
Vaughn in the house. I gotta say what's up.
That's what gives it the sense of an experience, because it's happening to all of these sensors at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with both of y'all more. That's excellent. That's a good key.
Yeah, I think the other part of that too. So like when we look at kind of where the industry is going as far as content, branded content opportunities, obviously, what's it called? The metaverse concept has been a hot topic over the last couple quarters, and I'm sure that that's not foreign to anybody. But introducing augmented reality and particularly virtual reality, where we're starting to see companies dive into the forefront of not just sight, not just sound, but also potentially touch. So you have haptic feedback in hand sensors, hand controllers, and things of that nature. And it really kind of just shows that, like you said, that sensory addition is really just going to help bring you in. Also, Corey, I don't know if you see in Kevon's comment, he said he's having a bit of a hard time hearing you.
Oh, word? Oh, okay. My bad. I don't know what that's about.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Kevon. We appreciate you.
Yeah, facts. Is it a little better?
Yeah, I'm listening to you right now on StreamYard, and so I know that everyone that is tuned in on Facebook and Instagram, they should be able to hear you okay, because I can hear you okay.
My phone's weird, man. It be in and out sometimes. I'll be right up on it too. It just won't be.
Yo, you know how these things are, bro. iPhones, dude, they got this weird issue, or not issue, but bro, they put the microphone on the bottom of the phone. So if you're resting it up on something, like you literally can't even hear it. Yo, what's up, Quinn? Oh, we got Quinn in the building. Yo, it's good to see you here.
What's up? How y'all doing?
So one thing that I want to touch on, and by the way, folks, like if you guys want to drop some questions into like the question box at the bottom, or just engage with us in the comments, like we're freestyling, we ain't playing nothing. We really just wanted to speak on the industry and share some gems. But one of the things so I have been a professional editor in a couple of different applications for like just under a decade, and Kevon's so funny. And one of the most frustrating things for me working with brands is that often when you're a video editor or a creative working on like a freelance basis, and I'm sure you've experienced this too with copywriting, you're kind of at the bottom of the totem pole as far as communication, as far as access to resources, and like your ability to really speak with folks in the company that might be able to give you what you need to move a project forward. what are some of the things that you think that a brand can do as far as kind of like a documentation perspective, right? Or just a state of mind that they should have going into working with freelancers to help make the project more successful and help make that experience a little bit better. And I have my own answer for that, but I'm curious if we have the same or a similar response.
Or, I mean, I think that's an excellent question. I'm talking a little closer to the microphone. Hopefully, y'all can hear me better. I know you hear me clearly on StreamYard because it's connected to my headphones and the microphone. So I'm hoping that all my StreamYard viewers, I'm not yelling in y'all ear. Let's talk a little louder for the gram. But that's an excellent question. I would say, have some sort of SOPs, standard operating procedures, and essentially, especially a brand deck. Sometimes, like you said, you aren't able to get to that marketing director or that brand manager. So with a company having those brand decks in place, or at least a sales deck, for their business, I've found that to be a very useful tool. Where when those things are in place, I find myself communicating less with an individual and being more freedom to create because I have all of the questions. The answers are right in front of me. Like, what does your company do? What's your brand voice? What's the colors? All of it is there in the brand deck right there for me. So
Yeah.
I would say that's key right there. And then with the SOPs, again, alongside with the brand deck, them standard operating procedures is really helpful to understand the workflow and how things progress.
Yeah, facts. Yo, really quick, I just want to acknowledge Diana's question, and thank you for that response. But she mentioned the movement of IG users that are asking IG to go back to photos only or prioritizing photos equally as opposed to keeping reels in the mix. And I want to touch on that, but before I do, I just want to double down and kind of back you up on what you said. SOPs, brand decks, brand guidelines.
Right.
Those two, having those two things make such a difference for two reasons. So for those that don't know, SOP is, like you said, standard operating procedure, and the two biggest things that it allows you to do is, number one, just have a different kind of communication with who you're working with. You're able to get less into the nitty gritty on every single project because the things that are required for you to stay on brand and on message, they're redundant. They're already there and accessible before the project even begins. And so you're drawing some bounds within which the creative freelancer professional can still be expressive, they can still be creative, but they also know the sandbox that they're in. And I just want to say what's up to David, bro. It's good to see you in here. But yeah, like that has been frustrating for me at times from an editing standpoint because particularly, and this is true for creative work, like naturally your inclination is to take it as far as you can go. But from a professional standpoint, you recognize and you understand that that's not what is called for when you are introduced to collaborate on a project. That's why it's so important to have personal projects so that you can like go crazy with it and give yourself room to fail. But when a brand is trusting you to collaborate with them on something, it has an intended purpose, an intended message. And if you don't have any guidance that can help you ensure that you're living within those things, it can be very frustrating because the brand's expectations aren't met because they feel like now we have something that we can't use or we're having to hold your hand throughout this process. But at the same time, you don't feel like you are empowered for success if those things are not available to you. Now, with that being said, for anybody in the room that is a creative professional, make it part of your due diligence before and as you're working with a client to ensure that they have everything that you need to ensure and support a successful project. Because 9 times out of 10, the brand is not going to accept responsibility because they don't have these things. But oftentimes it's just because they didn't know. They didn't know that that was something that they needed to have or something that would be more helpful to you as a creative professional. So I'm really glad that you brought that up, and we definitely see eye to eye on that because it's definitely caused some misalignment in the past. Yo, what's up, Yadi? And
Yeah,
also,
I would want to add to that too. Just one more thing. For us as creative professionals, go ahead and have some, start that conversation with an interview. You want to have that pre-qualifying interview, like, hey, you have these items in place? If so, let me review them. That way, you're able to come with your best foot forward and be prepared as a professional as well.
Mm,
So you can know what you're getting yourself into. That's something that I strongly encourage creatives to do, and myself as well. Have some type of format or somewhere in your pipeline or intake process. Try to extract the information you'll need to have that project be a success for
yeah.
sure.
I completely agree. Yeah, it's about equipping yourself as best as you can. Because at the end of the day, we look at the concept of like personal branding and things of that nature. Every project that you get, it's contributing to your brand for better or for worse. Your brand as an individual professional, as an organization, if you have a business. And so yeah, it's really important that the projects that you take on, you have some way of measuring and also ensuring that they are going to be home runs, not only for your client, but also for your sake as well.
Hmm.
So yeah, I respect that. Hey, yo, what's up, Brody? Oh, I got to say what's up to my people, man. Thank you all for tuning
Right.
in. So I want to let you take first bat at this question that Diana had, which was, what are your thoughts on the movement for IG to go back into photos instead of introducing reels or potentially prioritizing reels and video content instead of photos? What do you think?
I don't really know. I feel that in order for a business as Instagram to continue competing, with the Facebook and your TikTok now, which is taking over the industry, um, I think having reels is important. Again, it gives us an opportunity. Going back to what we talked about initially about video content, it gives us an opportunity to tap into those different senses within our customers,
Yeah.
within our buyer personas. It gives us more leverage. Yeah, we're always going to be against the algorithm, but I think reels are effective. I mean, do you follow Madi?
Yeah, of course. Madi
Yeah.
Woodard.
So
Those of y'all that don't know him. Yeah.
yeah, that man's the goat.
Yeah.
Um, but his his profile is a great example of the how powerful and effective reels can be to grow your online audience, if you do them, effectively, correctly, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's on brand, on target, and on voice with your company. I like the introduction. I like that they're using carousels more,
Hmm.
which is another way for us to utilize photos to tell a story through images. It's mostly with text, but I like that they're giving us that option as well. They're not just limiting us to videos as they expand and grow. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And one of the things that I will say, so ultimately we all understand like these platforms are in the business of selling attention, right? They capture
Right.
your attention by having all of your friends and all of the creators that you engage with on the platform, and then because your attention is there, they're able to sell the potential to capture that attention to advertisers. One of the things
Mhm.
about video content in advertising that a lot of people don't know, that's particular to social media platforms, and we really didn't start seeing this become utilized until the last 5 years or so, is that when you're working with video content for advertising, the ocean is so much more open to you as far as what you can do with advertising. And it's
Mhm.
particularly important because attention spans are so low now. So like if you look at photo content, right, I can run a photo ad, and the only means of measuring the success of that ad and potentially playing with the results that I get are if you click through to whatever the ad is actually advertising, if you see it, if you see it multiple times, and if you linger on it, right? So
Right.
if that photo is open on your screen for a couple seconds, I might be able to target you differently than I would target someone that swiped right past it. Now with video content, you guys might have heard that like the average consumer attention span is sitting at like 7 seconds, 6 seconds right now. We're on par with goldfish. It's terrible. Um,
We up there. Let's go. Shout out to
but
the goldfish.
shout out goldfish, team goldfish. But because it is so low, like now instead of dealing with a difference of minutes or even seconds in order to retain and maximize someone's attention, you're really breaking that down into like a hairline, you know? And so when it comes to video advertising, what we can do is actually retarget and segment our audience based on how much of the video did they watch, right?
Right.
And that one feature is so informative to an advertiser and a marketer because it allows them to tell, number one, who's engaged with the advertisement and potentially the product or the service. Number two, and this is particularly important, is how good of a job did we do in stopping their scroll and capturing their attention? And so it introduces another variable that they can actually track to where, okay, we might have the same piece of creative, but now we got 15 different hooks in the beginning. And if we're seeing that the majority of people are watching beyond 50% for this one or these two, okay, well, let's see what worked about that one or two and implement that across all of our advertising strategies. And so like this is a very powerful thing for advertisers, and it's appealing to them when they're going onto a yup. Yup. Hey, this is sauce, bro, because people really sleep on retargeting campaigns. You can run cheap retargeting campaigns. I'm talking put a couple dollars a day into it, but just getting your brand in front of people that have already shown an interest a couple more times can often be the reason that they go over the edge and actually decide, you know what, let me check out their landing page or their VSL or their product. Let me book that one-on-one. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, those are things that empower advertisers and empower marketers. And in a ecosystem where you have all these platforms that are essentially fighting for advertising dollars and marketing dollars, it's in their best interest to leverage what empowers advertisers and marketers the best. And right now that is video. And I'm sure at some point we're going to see that transition, but we're not there now. I'll tell you that much. So yeah, that would be my take. You know, ultimately from a consumer perspective, I understand why people might feel some type of way, but at the same time, I kind of don't, because Instagram isn't doing anything for you from a consumer perspective. You have content that you like, whatever that is. But you know, if you're looking at it just from like an inspiration standpoint or something of that nature, there are tons of other platforms where you can still find that, you know. And who knows, maybe we'll see those get transitioned out as time goes on. But from a business perspective, it's one of those things, and Mahdi talks about this, you got to be willing to adapt, yo. Mahdi wasn't on video before Reels, really.
Right.
You know, he was, but it wasn't to the degree that he is now. And it's just because you recognize that you have to pivot. And any business that can't pivot is the business that dies. I mean, you look at radio, you look at, you know, Barnes and Noble, like you look at all of these business models that were, you know, moguls of the industry at some point and essentially got transitioned out. It wasn't because they didn't have the capital. It wasn't because they didn't have the same finger on the pulse as their competition. It's because they were unwilling to adapt. And yeah, I think that's really where businesses are at. But I also think it's where they've always been, because at the end of the day, every business needed to produce content in some way, shape, or form. Now the medium has changed, but the mission hasn't. You feel me? The objective and the responsibility still is the same. And if you're really about serving your customers and you're really about making the customer experience, the customer journey as smooth as you can for them, it really doesn't have anything to do with what you want to do. You know, it has a matter of how willing you are to commit to the process and ensuring that your customers getting the best that they can. Wow. Oh, what's up to the new folks in the room?
What up with you, dog?
Thanks for coming. Yo, that I appreciate that question though, because I know a lot of people are really feeling some type of way about it, and I get it, you know. But at the same time, I think depending on what your intention is, you know, there might be a better use of your energy. But yeah, that's just me, man.
Hey man, I agree with you, man. You were saying some powerful stuff there. What was that you said about a business that doesn't pivot? You said it what now?
It's gotta adapt, dude. Like that's our whole job. And bro, like you feel this and I feel this. Like at the end of the day, bro, like I don't want to be on, but the other thing is you have to know what makes you, right? Do I want to be busting out a reel every single day? No. But I'm willing to do that if that's what it is going to be the most helpful in connecting with my audience. But I also have my hard limitations. I'm not going to dance. Same like my DC.
Right. I ain't going to dance.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to give you some false impression of me. And then if we actually work together, or we actually meet, you're like, hey, do the little dancey dance. And I punch you in the face for having me do some stupidness. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to put myself or you in that position. So I'm not going to do it. So you have to know, and this actually feeds into your area of expertise. You have to know your brand's message. You have to know your tone. You have to know your personality type so that you can adapt while still remaining true to your mission and your objective for the brand.
Yes, sir. Those are the facts right there, man. Those are the facts. I mean, that's all. That's what brand hope. That's what brand cohesion is all about. You know, how can we stay current, stay relevant, stay top of mind? You know, be trendy, but don't sacrifice our branding, our authenticity, our value, our personality of who we represent as far as companies. Um, by trying to do too much, you know, I
Mhm.
definitely agree with that. And everything you saying, like I said, bro, dropping straight jewels, man. I mean, obviously, I got my notepad too, because you know it's a two-way street.
You're a legend, man. No, I appreciate you, and I'm glad that we're able to do this together because we always share sauce with each other. And
Facts,
David,
facts, facts.
yo, I feel like David would be on the same type time, bro. We not with it. And Kavan asked an interesting question. Oh man, I love this question. All right, so he says, with advances in tech and AI, do you feel that the marketing and content creation space is becoming more opportunistic or less of an opportunity for those in the space? Oof, I'm gonna let you
That's
start
an
with this.
excellent question. That's an excellent question. I mean, man, it's a tough one, bro. It's a tough one.
And
In
I
my heart of
particularly, I
heart,
think like the biggest reason I want to get your perspective on this is because I'm sure you've seen it too. There's a ton of like AI copywriting tools that have
yeah,
been
there
on the
is, man.
market to the point where they've been refined enough to get good. So like
Yeah,
how I just want to see how that contributes to your perspective as someone that writes copy.
man, it's hard not to see it in a like in a negative light, right? Because a couple years back, when in the regular like in the restaurant industry and stuff like that, when they started to introduce robotics and replace jobs, that was the concern, right?
Hmm.
A robot can do my job for me now. So I've been following the gentleman. I think his name is Chris Doe from the future.
Oh yeah, Chris Doe. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and he was talking about the AI tools that he uses that are pretty effective when it comes to creating copy, and he's saying how original it is, so to speak. You know,
Wow.
um, it's really, man, it's really challenging. I think that there's as long as there's people, there's going to be an opportunity for us still to create and write and support businesses. But again, we're going to have to learn how to adapt, maybe even learn how to use some of these AI tools to assist with our workflow if we want to stay independent, for example.
Hmm. Yeah.
You know,
I'm so glad that you brought up Chris Doe because one of the things that he says often that I really relate to and connect with is that there really is nothing new under the sun. And
facts.
so every creator or many creators have this weight on their shoulders that they carry around to be original.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is, it's impossible to be original. It's
It's,
already impossible
yeah.
because
Facts.
every perspective that I share with you and that you share with me and vice versa is an agglomeration of like all of our experiences, everything that we've soaked up and internalized throughout our entire lives, whether we consciously remember it or not. And it's
Right.
all getting jumbled up and adding its 2 cents into the next sentence that I speak. And
Right.
so when you recognize that and you come to terms with it, not only does it take that pressure off of your back, but I feel like it also allows you to see more opportunity in
Hmm.
the uprising of tools of this nature.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, technology is meant to make our lives easier and empower us to do more of the things that we already do.
Hmm.
And I think that we have a big hand in the degree to which it does that versus
Hmm.
taking over. Um, I've used some of those AI copywriting tools. I've used AI. I've used tools that analyze video so that it can cut at certain cuts and speed up your workflow and things of that nature. And I mean, it's really beneficial to my workflow. Some
Right.
editors are of the position or the perspective that it's going to make editors a redundant position, right? Like, why do I
Hmm.
need an editor to do it if AI is exceeding at this pace? To where at
Right.
some point the AI is just going to be able to analyze the market, see what's working, and make my content for me, right? And we're not
Hmm.
anywhere close to that yet, I don't think, but I think we probably will be sooner than
Yeah.
we think.
Mm.
But I think at the end of the day, what AI is particularly useful at is sorting through an immense amount of data and articulating it in a way that is reflective of what's most important to us. It's still on us to create and go about experiencing the things that provide the data.
Right. That makes sense.
So like if I'm going to be making content and the AI is going to be chopping up my video and transcribing it for me and giving me content topics and whatever that is, it's still on me to be able to say, if an AI spits to me and it says, hey, everybody in your space right now is talking about IG photos, but you know, TikTok just announced a new feature, you should talk about that instead. Okay, the AI told me that, but it's still on me to go and get my perspective on this feature and have something of value to bring back to my audience and articulate to them with a unique perspective. So I think the AI, yeah, it's taking some of the nuance out of the actual creation process. And for creators that have lived in that nuance and developed that nuance, like, it's kind of scary, and rightfully so. But I think it comes back to adapting. You feel me? Like, I personally, as an editor, am not shaking in my boots about all these AI content creation tools, because I'm using them. I'm trying to figure out how to use them. I'm trying to figure out how to help my clients use them. But I also think it allows more value to be captured. You feel me? If there was something that a client came to me with and they were like, hey, we need this done, and having it done myself would take me a week, but I can use a tool to help me parse that time down to a day, dude, that becomes that much more valuable for my client, and they're probably going to be willing to allow me to capture more of that value. Instead of paying me 10,000 to do this in a week, they might pay me 20 or 30 to do it in a day. You feel me? If I can be the person that knows that and brings them that part of the solution, and it's not to say I have to tell them, I'm not advocating to be dishonest, but if I'm still able to put perspective into it and brand guidelines that are make it original and unique perspective, it just contributes to the value that I'm able to give to them. So yeah, I'm not scared, you know. I think it's another sandbox to jump in and collaborate with. Kevon and I have talked about this. I have an idea for a platform that is meant with editors in mind to make AI, or to leverage AI to make the content creation process easier. And like, because that's where the technology is at, I can have that kind of a vision and that kind of a plan. Couldn't have had that plan 10 years ago.
Nah, that makes sense.
I was also like 6 years ago, so.
I definitely feel that, man. I mean, I guess for me at this point in my career, I'm a little on the fence. I like the ability in terms of streamlining the workflow and learning to leverage it, so that way you can produce content essentially quicker, right? It makes you more efficient. But at the same token, I'm wondering how it might affect my creative intelligence, because now a good portion of the work where I'd be using my brain to come up with a unique idea is now DFY. It's done for you. You know what I mean? So it's like, some on the fence about it. You know what I mean? I think there's a great opportunity there, but again, it's the balance between humanity and technology for me.
Yeah, you've always struggled with that balance, haven't we?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I got to see how things progress a little further. For sure.
One of the things that you that kind of brings to my attention too is that, like, that question of like filler content, right? Which is like that content that exists just for the sake of existing and not necessarily to provide any actual value. And so like that's something that I address with a lot of my clients, and like sometimes I give them a little bit of like a snap to reality. I'm like, look, I know what Gary Vee said. Post on Instagram, post on TikTok, all of that good stuff.
Right.
The problem is people interpret that as, I need to post because posting is important. The posting itself is not important. You know what I'm saying? It's really a matter of what you're using that vessel to share and how you're using that to connect. And so, yeah, I do see the potential for a lot of filler content, but at the same time, I think it's just going to be a bigger version of what the game already is, which is the folks that are making that filler content right now. We're starting to see that become less and less relevant because it's showing. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, yeah, I think it's going to be more or less of the same game. If you're over relying and over leveraging on these technologies, you're going to encounter a problem. But if you're willing to leverage the creative ability that we have as human beings to come up with new experiences that shed some valuable insight, I think you're going to have a field day.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, because going back to the idea, the concept of originality, in my perspective, all that really is our interpretation of the information, right? Because everyone could see the same thing, visually, but we all interpret it differently based on how we filter it and our experiences, our expertise, etc. So again, when it comes to leveraging that AI tool, um, it could help shorten that process. But then, like you said, you still have to be the one to interpret it, add that flair, and then put it out there versus computing it and just letting it run on its own. You still got to have that human element or touch. I absolutely agree with that point for sure. Looks
Yeah.
like Kevon got some more questions for us. See what he's saying.
He says, do you think content creation will become a SaaS, which is software as a service job, or will it remain a space in of itself? Human computers, cashiers, editors, etc. Are some careers going extinct? That's a great question. He said, although it isn't a concern as of now, could it go extinct? So
I'm gonna keep my same stance. I'm gonna say, as far as extinction, no. As long as there's humans, we are innately gonna crave the interaction of another being.
yeah.
Unless we're just gonna be the world's gonna run by cute unless the world's gonna be run by cute puppies and AI and cute puppies, like we're gonna need someone to actually have a conversation with, and I think that's always gonna have a power over technological advances for sure.
Yeah. So I have two thoughts on this. The first is that you could make the argument that creative workflows are already to an extent an extension of a SaaS service.
Yeah.
If I am working on an edit for a client and I'm using Adobe Premiere, I'm not in the lab cutting film and piecing together an edit. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair. That's fair.
Of software and arbitraging the fact that I know more about that software than my customer does, that allows me to create what they want me to create in a timeline that fits their needs. Now, I think it's going to be a very similar thing with these AI tools, particularly at their inception, where, yeah, sure, they're going to be available, but I don't know that they're going to initially iterate in a manifestation that allows a business to jump straight in, and like it's like they have a Jarvis, like Tony Stark, and they
Tony Stark.
Shoot me 100 pieces of blog content for the month that are going to convert great, and Jarvis is like, yeah, I got you, sir. I do think that there are going to be folks at the front of that industry that have immersed themselves in it well enough. We saw this with computers. You know what I'm saying? Like there were entire businesses that had their rise and fall through an era where accessibility to be able to leverage computing power was limited and condensed to a certain demographic of people that gave their everything to understanding that within the context of their expertise. And they consulted for that, right? They allowed their clients to leverage that as well. I think we're going to see something very similar. The second perspective that I have on that, or the second thought is, so a lot of the work that I've been doing recently has been concepting for brands that basically they'll come to an agency or they'll come to me and they'll say, hey, we want to launch into this year or next quarter with a fresh spin. We don't have ideas. Give us an idea. You know what I'm saying? The thing about AI is what AI is going to be able to do is look at what an AI could do is come to them and say, hey, well, why don't I scan the last, every single cell phone commercial that humankind has ever made, and I could show you what a couple of different variations of all of those things would look like. I think if I, as a human being, was able to say that to a brand, they'd be like, why the hell would we want you to do that?
There it is.
We want something new. We want something original, right? What I can do that an AI or a computer can't do is go outside for a walk, see a ladybug eating a piece of a leaf and say, oh my goodness, dude, like
Yeah.
I have an idea that
Yeah.
we can use for this cell phone commercial. AI
Right.
can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Oh, what's
Right.
up, RJ? I gotta say what's up to my people, man. Oh, I think you're gonna love this conversation, RJ.
Yeah.
But I can't like a computer can't do that. You feel me? Some people would pose the question as to whether or not that is what differentiates us from computers, is that kind of sentience to where we can have those aha kind of moments.
Right.
But as of right now, it is the differentiation. Maybe one day it won't be, who knows? But I think that there will always be that intrinsic leverage that human beings have for certain kinds of things, right?
Right.
Some
Specifically,
things that
you're
are
right.
strictly mechanical are the things that AI is going to be great at leveraging because it
Right.
can learn which mechanics are the most efficient and it can be fed data to empower that learning. But
Right.
when it
Machine.
keeps
I think
making
that's machine. That's machine
decisions,
learning. I
that
think.
is,
Right.
I think that is a big part of human beings' purpose.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's
that's
facts,
what I would
man.
say.
That's facts, man. I'm with you on that for sure. I mean, sounds like a brunt of what we're talking about is about access and adaptability, man. When it comes
Yeah,
to business, being able to pivot, being able to leverage tools, new things that are coming out, be up on trends. It's about access and adaptability. Because, like you said earlier, man, business users who aren't able to pivot eventually falls by the wayside, man. I absolutely
right.
agree with that,
Yeah,
100%.
I agree. I have a question for you from the branding perspective because I love Kavan's coming in with the heat questions. He always
Yeah,
does.
fire,
But
baby.
I
Yes,
want
sir.
to address some practical applications for info that we've garnered in our experience.
Mm,
One of the things that you and I have talked about a lot is the importance of your customer journey, right? So like
yeah.
from a stranger to a previous client, right? Everything that's in between that is something that the brand has the ability to curate and affect and touch. Within that window of opportunity, what do you think is one of the biggest things keeping solopreneurs? What do you think is one of the biggest balls that they're dropping as far as
Mm.
solopreneurs, businesses of all sizes? Where do you think there's the most area of opportunity and leverage within that window of touch points?
And that's a really good question, bro. I rock with you.
We coming with a sauce.
It's
You
not.
feel me?
All right, so within the customer journey, I would say it would it's the connection, man.
Hmm.
Definitely the connection. So think of it like a filter, or for example, or a funnel, like a mechanical funnel. You put the oil in, and it has a filter in it. It refines it, and then it comes out more pure on the end, right?
Hmm.
So what tends to happen, in my experience, even as a consumer, is once you interact and engage with a customer, at a certain point in that journey, you just feel like you're just a cog in the machine at this point.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like a good example is I bank with two banks. I'm not doing any shade at any of them. I love both of these banks. So when it comes to regions, in my experience, I have the most engagement and interactions when I'm physically in the bank.
Hmm.
With PNC, which is alternative bank that I use, they'll call me. You know what I mean? Hey, how you doing? Just checking in on your plan. What's going on for the week? They'll send me email reminders. You know what I'm talking about for real. Like they send me
Bro, you
email
know what's
reminders.
crazy? Like it serves your point because now I'm like, bro,
You
should
know,
I go open up a PNC? Yo, that's
you know what I
raw.
mean? But
That's
but that's
awesome.
but what I'm saying is after I'm a customer, I'm still able to maintain and feel like I'm a part of the culture there.
Yeah.
Even as a consumer, as I'm gone through the pipeline and became a banker with them, and they're able to keep a pulse on me. But what
Mm,
I'm experiencing, in a different context is, let's say I enroll in a program and I try to get, I'm registering for a course. Let's say I roll in a course, and then following that course is an email nurture campaign,
mhm.
right? So if that nurture campaign doesn't feel very personal to me, if it's not segmented to the problems that I'm experiencing, and you're just giving me a blanket email, then your
Yeah.
open rate is going to be very low with me, even though I'm
Yeah.
already a customer, because I'm no longer experiencing that personal engagement with you. So I would say that's where a lot of brands fall short, big and small.
Dude, that is so, like, I love that. And I particularly love what you just said because I was speaking to someone on my marketing team earlier today, and one of the things that he mentioned was, look, like it's really easy for folks to write these headlines about like helping you connect with people better, connect with your audience better. And, it's almost like a buzzword, but I think you kind of just really got to the root of like what that really means. And it's so true about like just communication in general. It's not really so much about what you're saying, it's about what the person on the other end hears and feels. And so I
Right.
might be able to give you the most sauce, or I could write the best copy in my email nurture campaign, but if you don't feel like I am seeking out a connection with you and a
Right.
better understanding of you, or an appreciation for you, that's going to be a missing piece. I
Right.
love that, dude.
Right.
Yeah, I think actually I'm going to need to piggyback on that from my perspective. I think it's, for me, like the way I would articulate that is just being able to show that you understand where your customer is at. You feel me?
Facts, bro.
Um, and so like one beautiful example of this that I see a lot of agencies and businesses implement is like after someone comes into their course or their program or their ecosystem, they will get a personalized video in their inbox
Yeah.
or something from the sales rep or their coach or even sometimes the CEO before the program starts. And it does
Right.
two things. Number one, it gives you like that early win. It shows you like, look, you invested in us and we're invested in you, which is amazing. And number two, it shows that I don't just see you as a cog in the machine, right? Like
Facts.
the door is open. You feel me? You could send me an email back, and whether I would or not, you feel like it's probable or possible that I myself or whoever sent you that would actually be on the other end of it. And
Right.
yeah, like those are kind of the things that foster connection, is just being able to show like, look, I understand where you're at. You just invested in a business that you maybe haven't even met anybody in person from before, and we don't take that lightly, and we want to show you that we're just as invested in this as you are. So yeah, you and I are on the same, bro. We're like birds of a feather when it comes to that, because
Facts.
I think it's very easy to get caught up in this world of automation and technology and leveraging it. I fall guilty of that sometimes, but at the end of the day, these should be things that we use as an extension of our ideals, our values, our culture,
Right.
as opposed to becoming our ideals, values, and culture. So I
Right.
respect it a lot. And we got
I
a
mean,
question from Kevon
I was about to
in,
say,
in
yeah.
the questions. He said, what's the differentiating factor between PR and content creation?
Mm,
So I want to make sure that I understand the question thoroughly. Are you asking what's the differentiate, like what would differentiate you from being someone that needs PR versus someone that needs content creation? Or is the question like, what are the differences between PR and content creation as far as process and what it goes through? I'm gonna assume that you mean the second.
probably.
And I'll let you lead on that, Corey.
I mean, I've been focused mostly on like content creation or content strategy.
Mm,
I would say PR is more of like publications when you're in a magazine or featured in an article, or maybe like a collaborative event. You know what I mean? Politics is really good at that as well. Because that's like public relations. How am I? Yeah, how am I curating the perspective of the audience for my brand?
mm,
A good pocket would be social responsibility, right? So
mhm,
for public relations, if I'm out in the community, then the community is going to believe that I'm on their team, right?
mhm.
So when it comes to content creation, content marketing, I'd say it's more focused on the intent and how you're going to add value to the consumer specifically.
Mm.
So an
Ooh.
example would be right now on the social side, I'm working with a nonprofit as an outreach director, and for essentially PR, public relations, people are seeing me engage with the community and teach kids about entrepreneurship.
Mm.
Now, for my personal brand, I'm focused more on like, okay, what type of content do you want to create? How do you educate and inform your business, your customers? You know what I mean? Let me see. I'm waiting for him.
He actually just he requested to join, so I'm gonna let him jump in here and add a little
Okay,
bit
yeah,
more
good.
context if he would
Yeah,
like.
yeah, I'm definitely
I don't
about
think
that.
that that's off course. I think that's actually a really good question. What's up,
I
Kevon?
didn't think you were gonna throw me in.
What's cracking, big dog? Welcome back to the US of A, my guy.
I'm gonna just be quiet and I'm gonna listen. Y'all keep doing your thing. I didn't think you were gonna accept. So
Oh, you good? I wanted to
All right,
make
add the
sure that you had
context.
the
Add
opportunity
context
to
real
give
quick.
some more context if that's what you wanted to
no,
do.
no, this thing's like really delayed. But I was just asking, what's the difference between PR and having like I guess a content strategy for content marketing?
Got you.
If that
Okay.
makes sense.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, I'm glad that you restated that because we had a lot of folks that just joined. So welcome everyone.
Hey, hey, that's
Alright,
just Kevon, bro. You the goat.
I'm gonna stay in so people on my side can join in too.
Sweet. Yeah, right.
You're good.
So I connect with what you just said, Corey. I think from my perspective, and keep in mind, I'm not a PR expert. I don't touch PR personally, although I suppose that content could be leveraged in PR. But I think for me, content marketing, like you hit it on the head, Corey. Content marketing is about the value that you provide to your consumer.
Right.
PR is about the image that you have in their mind or the image that they have of you in their mind, right? And so if I'm running a PR campaign, right, I think that this is particularly effective at reinforcing or potentially introducing the idea into the minds of people that may or may not know about me or us, that
Right.
we're a trustworthy brand and that we do fill in the blank, right? We create 10-figure businesses, whatever that is. We work with celebrities, we take care of the homeless, like whatever it is that is. And
Right.
and I think PR can sometimes get a bad rap because sometimes the things that people will reach out to PR firms to help put into the minds of potential audiences isn't true, right?
Right.
But ideally it is true, right? Versus if I'm doing that content marketing, it's really more about, hey, look. So like my favorite example of this, because I love seeing this, and I remember the first time I actually noticed it. You ever look up something like best email marketing tool or like
Yeah.
best I don't know, phone charger company, whatever that is. And the Google search results pop up, and at the top of the list, you'll see like, best email, 10 best email marketing tools, and it's written by MailChimp, who is an email marketing tool, right?
Right.
That is beautiful content marketing because you're going to search for some additional information, which is valuable, that will empower you to make your buying decision. And they're like, well, hey, look, we do email marketing. We know all of the things that you are looking to know about email marketing that matter to you. So we'll fill in the blanks for you. And if we do it in a way that you appreciate and you understand, then maybe we'll be on your list.
Right.
I like content marketing for that reason because it's so much more natural trust. It's less for me, like sometimes, and I think PR has its place, but I do think that PR can sometimes be a bit catfish. You know what I'm saying? It's like you buy into a brand or you earn your respect with a brand because you see that the CEO is a 22-year-old millionaire that owns his own private jet. So you buy into the brand because you believe them to be successful. You don't buy into the brand because they've contributed anything directly to your perception or investment in them. And for me, it's like it's like the same question of like, would you rather have um, a bunch of like outward wealth, so to say, like everyone thinks you're rich, you drive the cars, you've got the fits, whatever that is, and have a ton of friends, or have a few friends that you really like and trust, but your whole life is low key. And I personally would prefer the second because I would always have the question in my mind, if I was outwardly successful or rich, whatever that looks like to people, I'd always have the question in my mind, like, yo, why are y'all friends with me? Is it, you know what? It's because of the McLaren, isn't it? McLaren, you know what I'm
That
saying?
McLaren kind of
It's
nice
like,
though.
it's like when you go the PR route, depending on what you're showing, if you're showing the kind of results, the kind of impact that you're creating in your consumers, your community, that's different. But if you're showing them, like our team meeting was in Honduras this year. That's how successful you are. You're not attracting people because they share your values. You're not attracting people because they believe in what you're doing. You're attracting people because they are buying into the allure of success. And I think that there's a lot of risk that you accept as a business that's going that route.
I agree with you. But
just a quick question for you guys. So outside of, I guess, outside of bandwidth, is there a case where a good content strategy or good content marketing or even good content creation can hurt a business rather than help?
Yeah.
Yes, we both say
you
yes.
You run it first, Corey. I want to know what you got to say.
So I'm gonna say yes,
because again, you got to be aware of that customer group. You know, if you're so let's say the customer is in your awareness, you know, phase one. You're just kind of putting information out, inviting PR thing, you know, doing this blast campaign. Obviously, it's targeted. You want people to become more aware of the solution you provide, right? So they're in their awareness phase. But if they're moving closer to that buying decision, if you're solely focused, if you have great marketing content for awareness, how effective is that in converting customers? You see what I'm saying? So I would say it's a sliding scale. You know,
Yeah.
Even in branding, I mean, even with PR, it can be incorporated in marketing, in the content marketing strategy. But I would say you really want to make sure you follow that customer journey where they're at, and then create some touch points for them from there. I absolutely, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I think to add to that, because I agree with you, and for everyone that just joined, welcome. Thanks for coming through. So Kavan just asked us a question. He said, "Is there a use case or a scenario in which good content creation can hurt a business outside of bandwidth? So outside of the possibility that their content marketing is so good that they get too much business that they can't keep up with." And the reason I would say yes is because, particularly now, there are some skewed perspectives on what qualifies as good content. For a lot of people, good content, a good content marketing strategy means going viral, right? The problem is related to what we were speaking about earlier, which is who is your brand, right? Who is your brand in the marketplace? Yeah, okay, cool. You might have a brand that has a viral moment, and maybe that even brings some additional revenue, some additional customers, some additional top of line, whatever that is. But if it comes at the cost of your brand, then that's a problem. And the reason that that's a problem is because your brand is one of those things that you cannot undo. So for example, if you're coming through our pipeline as a customer and for whatever reason, something happens, right? We don't fulfill our promise of getting this on a certain deadline, or we don't don't catch something, right? So something happens that lessens your experience or the result that we're providing you with. We can rectify that, right? Hey, you know what? We didn't meet this deadline. We're going to knock this much off the final ticket to rectify that. Hey, we're going to give this extra to you to make that better. There is absolutely nothing I can do to remove a impression of our brand that isn't in alignment with who we are from your mind. There's nothing I can do about it. If you see my brand logo in a way that's unflattering, in a way that is unprofessional, in a way that's unrefined, I can't, no amount of going back and fixing it is going to lead you to forget that one time that my logo colors were inverted on my website. If I put out an article or a blog post that is uncharacteristically stern and goes against the tone of my brand up until that point, let's say that, you know, I'm a mom, it's a mom blog for the sake of, and up until this point, everything has been cool. You feel me? It's been relatable. And then all of a sudden I have this very stern, condescending blog article that would work perfectly for a men's wilderness or a different audience. It would work perfectly for an audience, but it doesn't work for mine. And you read that article, I cannot, no amount of apology, no amount of a better article is going to undo that. You feel me? But it doesn't mean that it was bad content. The content could be very effective in a different use case, but it's the same. It's like we were saying earlier. That's why I'm not going to dance on reels, because I don't dance. My lady probably hates me for it. I hardly dance with her. She's always asking me if we can go out and dance. And I mean, I'm down, but it's not because that's what I do naturally. You feel me?
Right.
And so if I were to be dancing in all these reels and someone comes up on me and they're like, "Hey, yo, do the Fortnite dance." That would not be and they are probably going to have a negative interpretation of that experience when I don't do that. It's like if I was a rapper and naturally I like my privacy and I like my space, but my agency is telling me, nah, when you go out, you got to meet all the fans and be friendly, whatever. Okay, I'm gonna be that up until that one time a fan catches me at the wrong moment and I snap on him. And now, because that was so uncharacteristic of me, even if I was right, it's going to have a damaging effect on my reputation and my brand. So I would say that you can have good content, you can have a good strategy, but it has to be within the context of your brand and your audience. And if those things are not aligned, then yeah, it can certainly be hurtful.
I want to just add one more piece to that. This is like out of the box, but it's relevant. So when we're looking at virality, you remember cancel culture, right? Perfect example. So you can have journalists influence public opinion. News influence public opinion. Their capturing of your mistake or something you said back in the day, because it was like that in cancel culture, right? For them, that is excellent content. That's a bad day. You know what I mean? But it's the same example. You were banking on maybe the goal was to go viral. And the piece that just happened to reflect your brand virality was great content for this journalist who put you now in this space where your business became. Right? That's great content for them, but it harms your business. You see what I'm saying?
And now Kevon said Hulk Hogan, when he said the N-word several years ago, my guy got canceled.
Yeah, perfect.
That was a thing. I didn't even know that happened.
You know, I think that is a relevant example when it comes to understanding your brand. Always have to be on really cohesive, being consistent in what you present. Because there is a way, if your brand is strong enough, like Chick-fil-A, if they get your order wrong and they mess up, they're gonna be like, "Oh no, it's fine. It's okay. Just maybe another time."
Yeah, right. They're gonna give you the benefit of the doubt and some leeway because of who you've been able to stand as for so long.
Yeah, so that's my additional take on it. I mean, again, just using the words, great content, just different perspectives and how they affect your business as a brand, depending on how it's viewed by the public and who's spending it. Either you're in control from a branding standpoint with your content marketing, or the public is in control from a publicity standpoint with people taking parts of your image and using it to their advantage.
Yeah, man, I totally agree. And I hadn't even thought about like independent journalists and things of that nature. So that's a really good point. So we had this slated until 8:30. And so obviously we're like 3 minutes past that. I am really enjoying this conversation. I would like to go longer. What do you think, Corey?
I mean, I'm feeling it. What y'all think?
Yeah, y'all let us know. If you want to go a little bit longer, let us know and then send this live to a couple of your people because I think that we're dropping some gems. Kevon said he's about to head out. He's going to bed, is what Kevon said. He's going to bed or he's going to network.
You gotta do what
he's going to network. Tell me I was wrong. Tell me he's going to network, ain't he?
About that time, boy.
Where are you going? You going to Roots, Chris? You going to get some hibachi?
Hey, bro, be careful what you say. I'm on live right now.
He said, "Yo, hey, look, I ain't airing him out, bro. Hey, I really mean networking. I really mean network. He's about to throw the suit and tie on and pop straight out to the Ritz-Carlton bar."
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
All right, y'all have a good night.
Appreciate you, bro. You too. Yo, We got a couple folks that say that they enjoying it too, and we appreciate you guys. Thank you for rocking with us. So yeah, let's keep it rolling for like another 10. Just to get some of the sauce out, some of the energy out. So there was one thing that you and I discussed, which I wanted to make sure that we got in here, and I think that this is the perfect opportunity for it. So when it comes to, I want to elaborate on the notion and the importance of like brand guidelines, right? So to bring it kind of closer to earth for folks that might be on the front end or the early beginnings of developing brand, right?
Okay.
What do you think are some of the most important things for them to keep in mind as they make decisions about what their brand is going to stand on every day moving forward? What are some of the things that people overlook and some of the biggest leverage opportunities for them to make sure that they have a strong brand?
Oh man, I love that, man. I'm always for my grassroots, man. That's where it's at. We got a heart for them. So what I would say, don't overthink it. You know, if you're just starting a brand, use you as you are your best example, because you may not have any customers yet. So the structure of your value, your company value, and the tone that it takes, and the type of quality and content that you produce, it's all based on pretty much your interests, what you believe in, and how you want the people to see you in the world, right? So you're essentially your brand or your company is an extension of who you are, and its true extent, especially in the beginning. Some things to consider when it talks about value is think about people that you care about. Or if you are a loner, think about some of the things. Think about some of the things that you wish you had in your value, right? So for me in the beginning, I was like, what do I really care about? Or what do I wish I had more of so I could, fulfill that need in the market? And for me, it was, I wish I had an opportunity to use my voice, right? I wish I could reach more people, okay? So my question is, what are my skills that would allow me to do that? So my skill that would allow me to do that is public speaking. Okay, I can talk to people. That's a good skill, right? I can create content. I'm good at writing. Well, let me learn how to write a blog or vertical, or write for other business. If it's fashion, I like to feel good in clothes. Well, let me take some photos and represent this lifestyle of feeling good and rocking fresh outfits. So those are just some things to consider on television.
Yeah, I love that. And it reminds me of a concept that folks might be familiar with from Simon Sinek's Start With Why, which is your organization acts as a megaphone projecting the values that you and your team share to the world. And Apple is like such an amazing example of that, as he references in the book, because Apple is full of a bunch of, like, not to offend anyone that works at Apple, but it's full of folks that have a very rooted perspective on creativity and pushing the status quo. I don't know to what extent that's the case now, but I've heard and it's been told that, like, back in the day, it was super saturated in that way. And so yeah, I totally agree with you there. And I think from my perspective, on the front end, in the early days and at the very beginning, on top of agreeing with everything you said, I think one of the biggest things that a lot of folks don't leverage, and it's always there to leverage, is the story. And it's not just the story that led you to the brand, but it's an ongoing story that you can be a part of, right? And so once you have that story developed, you now have to figure out the ways that you can express that story to the world that connects with them and to the people that it'll impact the most. And that's fun. That's where it's fun, is when you can get creative and figure out, like, what is the tale, you feel me? And so, like, for me, for my brand, like, I'm still doing a better job of that and learning how to do a better job of projecting that story into the world. But, like, so my business is called Moguls HQ, and story there is essentially like, for so long, so many small business owners have watched as industry moguls have lived in a place where they couldn't imagine themselves. Oh man, I would love to be in a position like Gary Vee where I can just show up, talk, and I have all this content made for me, but I can't because on top of being a hairstylist, which is my main source of income, now I have to be out on Instagram making all these reels. I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? People of all industries in the last few years have been seeing that, to where it's like, dude, why do some people get to do it like that and I don't? I have to be bogged down in the trenches in a way that is not suitable to my preferred lifestyle. It's not suitable. It's not what I signed up for. I wanted to go look at properties and help people get into their first home, and now I'm making TikToks.
Right.
This is whack. And it is, you feel me? And so the vision and the goal for my company is to help small business owners that are not in the business of creating content, to make content like the moguls.
That's me.
To be able to walk in, show up as the powerhouse of expertise that they are, and professional perspective, and have the content creation process be an experience for them as opposed to another task on their to-do list. And so like that, as I tell you that, and as I say that to people, that's a very compelling story. But if the only way that story ever gets heard and ever gets connected with is if you and I are having a one-on-one conversation, then I become the bottleneck in my business.
True.
That story is bottlenecked by my ability to go out and talk to as many people that will listen about that story. I can only do that to so many people, right? But finding ways through content, through branding, to be able to share that story and the feelings that come with connecting with it at scale are what allow me to build out that customer base, bring in that volume, and fill up my pipeline.
Right.
And it's compelling, dude. People love a great story. People love it.
Right.
That's just how
So what are some things people should consider in that grassroots level when wanting to create their brand story? Sometimes the idea comes before the story, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's very true. So I think oftentimes, like you said, one of the best places to start is what led you to the idea, right? So like for me, the idea for this business came out of the fact that I was working in a video production agency that I had co-founded with a partner. So we were making commercial content for commercial customers. And I realized that we could provide more benefit and value to our audience by producing our own content. And it sucks because we were doing it ourselves. We're shooting it ourselves. I was the editor in the business, at least to start out. And then I had to get my, roll my sleeves up and edit everything myself. And it was not fun, dude. Like that part of it was not fun. And I was an editor because I loved editing, but that was not fun. You feel me? And I realized that it was pulling me away from prospecting. It was pulling me away from the projects that were really making us money and really driving the business forward. And so I had to create a solution that allowed me to take a step back from that and tap into the parts that depended on me in the business. And so like, that's a story a lot of people can relate to. A lot of people are in their business right now, whether they are a coach or a real estate agent or a hairstylist or a service provider, whatever that is, because they're like, dude, I feel like I'm being pulled away from my business into this realm that I don't even like or relate to because it's what I have to do, but that's not what I signed up for. And I'm a big believer in allowing people to live in their zone of genius. And most people would love to do that for themselves. And so like, I think just watching, that's a great place to start. It's just the journey that got you there. But I think another place to start is, what are the things that you can understand and articulate better than the people that you're serving? And so this can go for anybody, right? So like, what are the things that they can relate to that maybe they can't say or put into words as they move about the world, but you can express it in a video or in copy or in your branding. You feel me? One thing about me, dude, I don't care how much money I have or don't have in my pocket. I don't care if I'm having a good day or a bad day, when I step outside, I move like a king. I feel like a king. And it has nothing to do with having power over people. It's about the responsibility that I put on myself, about how I'm going to carry myself. I wanted my brand to reflect that same poise and that same responsibility. You feel me? I don't care if you make clothes. If you're a clothing brand, right? You look at Red Bull, dude. Red Bull is my favorite go-to example, dude. When you look at Red Bull's content, bro, Red Bull's content game is absolutely insane.
A1, bro.
Dude, it's crazy, bro. Because literally, some of the people that are doing the craziest shit in the world are doing it with Red Bull's logo on their back.
Right.
What? Like, dude, that's wild. But the reason that they're doing that is because they recognize from a perspective of values, from a perspective of the things that we are doing in life that gives us, you feel me? They recognize that, look, if we can build our brand around expressing that feeling,
right,
allowing it to be expressed within the people that engage with our brand, dude, Bang 2, yes, seriously, Bruce Lee, he says Bang 2, Bang and Monster, Red Bull, Bang and Monster, bro. It's that lifestyle marketing, but it's effective because they understand the values that they share with the people that they share it with, and so that's another big part of it is like, what can I do to show you that I get you? What does that look like? The only way that I can show you that is if I get you.
Right.
And so if that's a clothing brand, whatever that is, if that's an experience that's unique to your business, you have to find out the things about the people that uniquely appeals to, that empowers you to be able to actually seek them out and have them fill up your pipeline. Cyrus Lee, hey, thank you, man. I mean to butcher your name.
I mean, bro. And that's pretty high level, bro. For real, I respect that. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. So for that startup, man. So here's a couple things to think about. You know, we covered a bunch. Everything is absolutely relevant. I hope you're taking notes, because this stuff is really going to help you as you progress through your brand. So if you're day one, don't know really where to start, just like you were saying with values, right? I'm saying it starts with you, and then he's saying you have to make sure that you're able to tell that story, share those things through your product, service, and branding with your potential consumers. And the example he used was with Red Bull, right? Their value is to focus on people who like the adrenaline rush. So their content is about doing things that are extreme, exciting, it's going to get your adrenaline pumping. And they sell an energy drink, which makes sense because it helps you build that adrenaline. You know? So if you're in the beginning, I would say, think about your values. Like you said, consider what is your area of expertise, and then how do you translate, how do you create an emotional connection with your audience? If it's a shirt brand, you know, like you said, when you go outside, are you slouching when you're wearing your shirts? You know what I mean? You like, you know what I mean? You gotta be excited. You gotta make sure they feel.
I love that. Yeah, you gotta walk like $1 million, whether you got $1 million or not. And your brand almost has to do the same thing, not in a way that's like self-aggrandizing, but in a way that's like, look, we don't get recognized for it yet, but this is who we are. You know what I'm saying? And if you're like us, then we can find ways to gel together.
I'm gonna be candid with you real quick. Like I'm currently in that space now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I got all these ideas, you know, I'm confident in my business, you know, and I'm still learning more effective ways to communicate the value that we have in my company. You know what I mean? To streamline what it is we focus on, because as an individual, as a human, we likely have many talents. You know what I mean? I'm good at writing, I'm good at talking, I'm good at connecting with people, I'm loving the community. But how can I explain this thing, introduce these things to the world in a way that makes sense and make it connected? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it gotta make sense.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm currently not in a rebranding, but in a pivoting point to figure out what is the more effective way I can go about it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's all relevant. It's all relevant.
I love that, bro. Oh man, this has been so like insightful, and it's given me the opportunity to get insight into your mind, and I really appreciated that, and I know that folks that have joined us have as well. One of the things I think we should probably wrap, but before we do, really quick, like almost speed round, I want both of us to address this question.
Okay.
What is one high level takeaway, if you could only give one piece of advice regarding branding, that would be applicable to anyone, whether they're starting out or they're deeper in their business? What would be that one piece of advice?
Damn, the one thing.
I know it's tough. I'm so glad that I'm asking you this and you answer before I do, because it's tough.
All right, so big and small. I'm gonna say be authentic. Be authentic. Whether you're a solopreneur or you're a large organization, stay on brand. Stay true to who you are and what you do. We talked earlier about what happens, the potential risks and threats of doing something that's not aligned with what you believe. If that takes fire, if someone puts the window there and it takes fire, think about the cancer culture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Think about your audience. You know, if you're building trust and you're defending your audience, you know, with an authentic, organic connection with your concept, you're helping them. You have a responsibility to continue serving them.
Yeah.
So if you just switch it up and do something like off brand, you know, if you sell hamburger and then you go selling shoes,
yeah, it's damaging. It's damaging.
What you mean? You gonna lose? What happens? It creates frustration with your friends because confusing. No one likes to misunderstand. So I would say, man, be authentic and stay true, man. The value, the culture that you want to create, the impact that you want to stay true. Obviously, you gotta adapt. You have to change the way you go about it. But the way you go about it should be the only thing that changes, not the belief of life.
I love that, and I think my piggyback is super aligned with yours, because mine would be keep your focus on the value and not on measuring it, right? And the biggest reason I say that is, particularly now, like a lot of the companies that I work with have the fattest concern for vanity metrics. They want more likes, they want more followers, they want more this, that, and the third. But I always try and tell them, look, it's literally just numbers on a screen. There are businesses and brands that have 20,000, 200,000, 2 million followers, and they're struggling with cash flow and they barely get any engagement because the people that they're following or that are following them don't care about them. You know what I'm saying? So like, more than anything, your focus should always be on the value that what you're doing in the marketplace can bring to the people that you're doing it for. And if that's creating content, or when it comes to creating content, look, telling your story is valuable because someone out in the market can relate to your story. Telling about your product and service, or informing people about the ins and outs of selecting a product or service in your industry to go with is valuable. You feel me?
Right.
Providing insight and finding ways to be better at rendering that product or service is valuable. Focus on the value. Don't focus on the measurement, because the measurement's going to come and go. And sometimes it ain't got nothing to do with you. It's got to do with the algorithm. It's got to do with the time of day. It's got to do with whether or not it rained. You feel me? But use that to inform your decisions around your approach, around your plan. Don't use it to inform what you do and what your plan is. Oh, this went viral, so we're going to make more content that has a high probability of going viral. Is that what you want to do? Do you want to go viral, or do you want to have more conversations with potential customers? Do you want to go viral, or do you want to have your pipeline full? Do you want to go viral, or do you want to inspire the next generation of artists through your bespoke clothing line? You feel me? Like, you got to lock in on the values that you set out to actually pursue in the first place, and keep that the journey guidelines, because if it's
Mm.
the metrics they use to measure it, you could easily get lost, man.
That's
Easy.
real. That's real. Let me ask you this caveat off of that. So, what is your perspective on data driven content
Oh man. Okay.
when it comes to performance, right? Of the content you create, how do we interpret it as an effective tool versus something that discourages? What's that mindset there?
Okay. I think so. In any business, right? KPIs are important, right? And these are the things that you're actually going to be measuring in regards to the goals that you're looking to reach. You have to have some way of knowing if what you're doing is successful or not. I think it's very easy to get caught up. I think Corey might have froze. Yo, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here, but you can hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you just fine. So for some reason your image froze. You might want to try rotating your camera back a couple times. But you got to have your KPIs. You have to have some way of measuring what's successful and what's not. I think the problem is being led by KPIs in a way that.
Wait, you gotta explain what that is, bro. You throwing acronyms at us, dog.
Yeah, so KPIs are your key performance indicators, right? So they're numbers, metrics that are completely beside emotion, right? So it's not like, I rate this 4 out of 5 stars because it's pretty. No, it's like, how many booked appointments did we get, right? How many baskets did we make? You can't fudge it. The problem is, if you are trying to measure KPIs with no regard for your values and your plan and your strategy, then you're letting the market tell you who you are. Now, these are two different scenarios, like when it comes to content. Scenario one, I start making content based on what I see blowing up on TikTok, on Instagram, on platforms, whatever that is.
Okay, it's trendy. Okay.
The two problems that occur with that are that, number one, I stand for everything, or I stand for nothing, so I'll fall for everything. So I'm constantly going to be chasing the next trend, the next this, the next that, and there will be no basis upon which someone should trust me long term, because like you said, last week I was talking about the latest food trends. This week I'm talking about the latest fashion trends.
Right.
But the data showed me that that's what's popping. You feel me? The second problem with that is, even if I do actually catch some traction, I'm not going to be able to grow that audience because they have nothing to tune in for.
Like, what are they coming back to? You're right.
What are they coming back to? They don't know, because I don't know, because the market is telling me. You know what I'm saying? So that's a problem. The other thing that I would say is approach number two. So imagine I go into my content strategy, but I say, okay, look, I have this extensive passion, experience, interest in video content.
Okay.
I don't know which is more important or which would be more valuable to talk about. Could it be how to shoot better content, how to distribute better content, or how to monetize content better? I don't know. So let me put out 3 pieces of content for each of these 3 and see which one starts the most conversations. Which one I'm able to connect with people about the most. KPIs for that might be, how many comments did I get that were insightful, that asked a question, right? How many swipe ups did I get on this with someone sharing their perspective on something? How many conversations were started as a result of this? In that way, I'm being scientific about it. You know what I'm saying? Right. I'm actually going about it in the same way that you would go about a science experiment, following the scientific method. Okay, so I have my dependent variables that are going to be my outcomes, right? I have my independent variables. I have these 3 different pieces of content, 3 different pillars of content, and different pieces of content that are going to be able to show me through the noise what people are connecting with the most. And then I have my variables that don't change. Regardless of which of these 3 pillars it falls into, regardless of which of these 3 pieces of content somebody sees, I'm talking about video marketing, I'm talking about video content.
Right.
That is something that you can count on. And so it's important in that it's scientific, but I also have my roots to stand on. I have my lane, you feel me? And if I'm looking at my lane and I see something in this lane, okay, I'm going to swerve around it so that I don't get into a bad situation. But I'm not going to be swerving lanes every 5 seconds because I think that this lane is going to get me to where I'm going faster. Because 9 times out of 10, it just leaves you running through your gas.
Word. Okay, got you. I get that. No, that's solid, bro. So essentially, what you're saying is what brands can do, or what business owners can do when interpreting analytics, is to stay true to their values, right?
Mhm.
Measure the KPI, the key performance indicators, that align with the goals that you have set. So in
Mhm.
this case, like you said, if I'm a content creator and I want to revenue 50 minutes of my videos, then I'm going to look at how many comments did it create, as you said, how many insightful conversations did it start, how many saves did it get. In the beginning, it could be a bit intimidating, because again, if we're starting out, we don't really know what to look for. So
Yeah.
that's why learning and studying the best practices in the beginning are effective as well.
Right.
Like you
It's so
said,
that you have a base, like an entry point that you can
right,
to your brand and your values.
exactly. So what you were saying is spot on, bro. If you let the market and what's trending dictate how your brand develops, then it can become very messy. If you sell shirts and then listen again back to the hamburgers, if you sell hamburgers and you write blogs about food related to hamburgers, a bun, what type of bun you should get, how the flavors hit, what type of seasoning to put on your burger, those type of things. And then you come out with an article that's talking about the materials that shoes are made out of. That's
Yeah.
not going to fit the brand. You're going to create confusion, and your customers are not going to appreciate it. You're absolutely right, man. Do not follow trend to the point where the market dictate your brand value and direction. I'm
Yeah.
100%
I agree. I totally agree, bro. But yeah, I think we dropped some sauce. We dropped some straight gems on this live, and we even ran an extension just because the sauce was so heat. So for everyone that's still with us, particularly for everybody that like stuck with us since they joined, yo, thank y'all so much. And hopefully
absolutely.
you got some insight. I ain't even gonna say hopefully because I know that you
Nah,
got
they
something
definitely got to do
that
it,
you
bro. They
can
definitely
use to go and elevate your brand and elevate your business. My only ask is that you use it and that you commit to using it and seeing the results that it brings. And we got a little something coming up that Corey and I have been working on, and I want to let you share the details of it, Corey, and then we'll dive out of here.
All right, I'm gonna be real brief about it, man. This is something that we're really excited to roll out. So my man's Josh and I, Youngest HQ and Champion Circle already got the flair right there.
Yeah, yeah.
We are going to be doing a webinar series on brand mastery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's going to be fire, man. We're talking about customer pain points, how to align with your audience, creating content that sells and converts. We're going to have guest speakers to give you the extra sauce. They're more elevated, more experienced than we are. So you're going to get that insight from a high level expert on different parts of branding. Man. So definitely something to stay in tune for. We'll we'll figure out a way to invite y'all to it since on
Yeah.
live,
Yeah, if you guys
But
if you
we're
want
proud of them.
to get added into the list just to be notified and get the invite so that you can join once we start rolling out those webinar episodes, DM me, DM Corey. We'll probably ask for your email just so we can keep in contact with you, but we'll also make note of your social so that we can let you know with a reminder because we're going to be dropping some straight gems. And for anyone that's looking to do more business, deal with more qualified customers that don't make you want to pull your hair out and develop your brand personally, professionally, from a business perspective, we're going to have tons of sauce, and the webinar series is going to be completely free. So yeah, let us know. Just go ahead and shoot us a DM after we get off, and we'll make sure that we make it happen. And I think that's closed, bro. You got anything else, Corey?
That's raps, man. Man, we got all that. We got plenty of sauce to share, bro. we got more juice.
Facts.
But we gotta be, we gotta be responsible, respectful for your time as well as a consumer. Our times as business owners, we do have a lot of things to create in our pipeline. So with that, I do say that this is a journey. Thank you very much for everyone who came in before, later, and just now. We appreciate you. Josh, thank you for your time. You know what I mean? Allowing me an opportunity to dive in with you, man. This has been great. And I'm just looking forward to dropping more jewels, man. And that telling you, everybody look out for the webinar series, man. We already found out in August.
Yeah, it's gonna be August.
August. That's in a couple of days. So make sure that you're staying on top of us, DM, and keep our body, man. We're gonna have more about it very, very, very soon. All right.
Yeah. We appreciate you all, and definitely
Right.
stay tuned in. Hop in our DMs, ask us any questions, and we'll
Right.
see y'all for the webinar series. Hey,
And
appreciate
stay
y'all.
authentic,
Have a
y'all.
good night.
Stay authentic. Peace.
And we are off on Instagram. We're gonna go ahead and cut it on StreamYard.
Oh yeah, let me hop back in.
We good?
Yeah, I'm putting my joint on mute.
I love it. All right, buddy.
Wow.